Good morning. We are at Intersolar 2017 and here we are with Enphase Energy Gentlemen, Mr. Nathan Dunn and Mr. Venkat. Hi Venkat, how are you?
Hi, good
Hi
afternoon.
Nathan, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Okay, Nathan, can you please detail us more about this 1 megawatt project that you have recently completed?
Yeah, so that 1 megawatts is really just one job. We've installed more than 1 megawatts in India to date. The 1 megawatt project it's just over 2,800 microinverters, Enphase quality microinverters that have been installed across 6 rooftops on an FMCG processing plant. It's the largest rooftop installation that's been done in the Asia Pacific region for Enphase.
It's the same location, right?
Yeah, absolutely the same location. So 6 rooftops over one location or one operation. It's about 67,000 square feet of installation. It's a large site and a large bit of rooftop that Enphase is uniquely positioned to take advantage of that space.
Can you please detail more about Enphase microinverters, how good they are and what additional advantages that companies have while using Enphase microinverters?
So because it's a distributed architecture, the microinverter actually goes at the back of the panel and it essentially optimizes the panel that is being installed. So there's no centralized string, there's no challenge with high voltage DC. You get greater performance from a microinverter because everything is distributed. So if one panel is not performing at the same level as the other one, then the whole system will continue to operate at a higher percentage than if you actually installed a string system. So the way we look at it and the way that we present the value proposition of Enphase is that there's greater performance, there's a high degree of reliability or greater reliability, it's safe, so there's not 600 to 1500 volts of DC running across the roof, it's 48 volts or 60 volts max. It's a simple plug and play exercise, so installers can really get behind just sticking a microinverter behind a panel and plugging it into a cable and off you go. And I think one of the biggest benefits and the reason that we were able to secure the 1 megawatt was it's an intelligent system. So the modules, as they generate power through the microinverter, they're actually transmitting data through a communications gateway, and that enables the installer and the owner of the system to monitor every single individual panel in the installation to make sure that they're getting the optimum benefit out of it. You cannot say that you can do that with the majority of string systems that are out there at the moment. So,
I also recently came across a press release that Enphase has set up their research and development center in India. Can you please put on some light on that?
yeah, so we've taken it as an opportunity to expand Enphase's global reach. We're excited about the talent that is available in India, particularly from an engineering perspective, and we've taken the opportunity to set up a facility in Bangalore to grow and expand the Enphase presence from a global perspective.
Venkat, I'd like to come to you. How did you secure this 1 megawatt project? Any challenges that you faced?
So the major thing about this 1 megawatt is that India is a PPA driven market for some of the larger systems. It's probably, I would say, 70% on the OPEX model and 30% on the CAPEX. At least the shift is towards that. And the biggest challenge is obviously surmounting the upfront premium that you need to pay for a better technology. But fortunately for us, the value prop that we were able to communicate to both the end customer on whose roof the system has gone and the EPC company who is actually putting together the installation and the investor, the IPP who has infused the equity to make this project happen. The value proposition was really strong in terms of showing that the life cycle cost of ownership. So the essential shift from rupees per watt peak to rupees per kilowatt hour. So that is what we have managed to do with all these 3 stakeholders. And that was well received by them, and we managed to show them that we offer the lowest cost of electricity, levelized cost of electricity compared to any other string inverter that they can actually use. And that is how, even though this system is installed, I would say at a premium of about 10 to 15% install cost if you look at it on a per watt peak basis, but still the value that is derived out of this system is really significant over the life of the asset. And that was well understood and contemplated by the investor as well as the end customer to make this happen.
Venkat, I'd like to understand what kind of pipeline do you have in Indian market right now?
So to talk about pipeline, so we are looking at two distinct segments. So Enphase, as you can see, predominantly we are a RSC or residential and small commercial player across the globe, which includes 130 countries. That being said, this is also the ideal product for the commercial and industrial space in a market like India where you have unique set of challenges, right from the environment conditions, whether it is the hot temperatures, high humidity, extreme levels of soiling, and the monsoon and so on, as well as the fact that you're looking at a lot of industrial growth and the tariffs being higher for industrial and commercial consumers. The CNI business is going to take up majority of the pie as far as the rooftop market is concerned. In that sense, we have a product that is ideally built for India or made for India as we call it, because this offers a product that's foolproof to most of these environmental conditions, and it's pretty much built in such a way that it can last the entire life that you are actually contemplating with solar as a financial instrument. Even for this 1 megawatt, for example. So we look at it as a financial instrument that pays you returns over the life, stable returns over the life of the asset. And when you put up a system that's high quality like Enphase, you pretty much are equating this to a government bond that pays annuities over 20 years, 25 years or so on. And that is what we are able to offer to the investors and the end customers. So talking about pipeline, on the CNI side, we are having a pipeline currently built up of about 15 megawatts on the PPA model alone. And then on the residential side, while I don't want to throw numbers, which can be, we are still just building that market. So definitely looking at something over the next quarter of about 3 to 5 megawatts of residential installations.
How do you see the Indian market as a whole? Now there are certain apprehensions. Since you are in the industry, rather you are not being affected by the AD, anti-dumping duty directly. But what's your take on that?
So the anti-dumping duty, if you ask this question, it's $1 million question, whether it's going to come or not come or so on. But let me stay out of that sort of guesswork there. But if you look at the rooftop sector as such, rooftop, I mean residential or up to 1-2 megawatts, the impact of anti-dumping on this segment is not as pronounced as what you're seeing on the utility side. Because utility side, the bidding and the government projects, which were extremely aggressive, look at private open access deals that are happening predominantly in southern states. So a lot of the tariff that was PPA signed between June and September at aggressive tariffs, they are the ones that are facing the heat with respect to rising module prices and anticipation of anti-dumping duty coming through. Whereas for rooftops, so the impact is not that pronounced. We don't see much of a slowdown in the rooftop adoption across the country. And we do expect to see that, as predicted by a lot of market research agencies, firms, and the government itself, at least a gigawatt of uptake of rooftop every year up until 2022. I don't see that slowing down much because of any fundamental change in module pricing or GST or so on. Because, in fact, that happened 2 years back with the AD benefits going away, the accelerated depreciation. But that really hasn't slowed down because it's as much PPA driven as it is, a tax equity investment driven. So in that sense, rooftop market is holding its own good. We only hope it is going to reach closer to what the target was initially set to 40 gigawatts. But I would definitely talk about 10 to 15 gigawatts by 2022.
Nathan, one last question to you. How do you plan to increase awareness about microinverters in India? How do you plan to educate your customers?
So at the same time that we're expanding into the Bangalore R&D Centre, we're also looking at increasing the headcount from a sales and service perspective here in Australia, in India. It's an expansion of the APAC region, and essentially we'll be utilising those new resources to actually get the message out to a number of additional installers through the distribution partners that we've already built. So the Enphase proposition, or the Enphase go-to-market strategy, is to utilise partners and to develop partnerships with installers. So our first port of call was to get some quality distribution partners on the ground in India in the first 12 months. We've done that with Sun AP EcoPower, with Reddington, and with Wari. And then the next step is to get our own sales team out there to help pull through the exercise of increasing the awareness of Enphase with installers and getting them to feel comfortable in selling it to the end user.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Venkat. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.